Hi, I'm student meteorologist Anthony Chiavaroli, and I'm here to give you a little bit of insight into NOAA's long-range outlooks. So here's just an example from AccuWeather. So how does it really work? Just want to show you this example first. So right here, up in the Pacific Northwest, showing mild and dry. Snowy conditions here in the four corners, ice threat down here in the south. As you move a little bit further north, cold. And snow mix here in the northeast. And severe thunderstorms projected just for Florida. So how are these things projected 3 months out and to be accurate? I mean, just look at this guy down here in the corner looking at this map. He's like, what's that? What's going on here? Like, how does AccuWeather just come up with these things, so many months out in advance and, project it to be true, put it up on their website for us as the end user to look at and to, base our plans off of? Well, here's how it really works. It requires an extreme amount of processing and computing power from a system coupled with prior specialized knowledge from meteorologists and the computer engineers who work on these long-range forecasts. And it can be regional or on a global scale. So smaller scale or bigger scale, the entire world is what it can encompass. So you just have to imagine all this information, all these specific equations, all this stuff. Just basically stuff just goes into this computer and it spits out for you, the end user, a long-range forecast of 1 month all the way out to a year. So all of this information is disseminated and translated into a long-range forecast from NOAA. And these forecasts, again, can range from 1 month all the way up to a year. And of course, as we get further and further along, as opposed from 1 year to only 1 month, the longer you go out, the less likely it's going to be that it is going to happen. Now, the 90-day outlooks are produced monthly, usually during the middle of a month for the respective month, all the way out through 90 days. So that's just something important to note and something that is always available on their website. But again, if you hit sometime during the middle of the month, it might not be available for that 90-day forecast. It might only still have the one from the previous month. So that's just one thing to watch out for. Now, here is a map of the 3.5 month outlook from NOAA of what the temperatures are going to be for this upcoming summer. So this is the 3.5 month outlook made on March 17, 2016. That's when this is valid, showing above average temperatures here for the far northeast. This orange swath is basically consuming most of the country, this yellowish orange here in the middle. Now, this is showing for the United States that it is projected to have an above average summer, as this is going to be valid for the end of June into July, August, and a little bit into September. So looking to have an above average summer this year according to NOAA. And up here as well for Alaska. Not much though. It's going to be normal for Canada. As you can see, this is all white. Where it shows up white, that just means it's going to be, according to the history of the climate, that's just going to be normal. Now, again, here's the white, as I wanted to show you before. This is the 3.5 month outlook, so for the same amount of time for the United States, but this is just in terms of precipitation. All white, no colors showing up here on the board at all. So for this summer, we're going to have a very average summer in terms of precipitation. Now, NOAA's color, they've chosen like a very, kind of like an ugly greenish color is what pops up when things are going to be below average. And as you saw before, the red for above average. So nothing popping up here. So 90-day outlook, here's your 3.5 month outlook for the United States. Going to be a normal, this is showing normal precipitation for this upcoming summer. Now, who makes these forecasts? It's not psychics. It's not a bunch of meteorologists, like all sitting around a crystal ball and just being like, all right, what's going to happen 90 to 120 days from now? That's not how this works. The people that actually are working on it it's called GPCs, where they work on these, which are global producing centers for long-range forecasts. You have these people working on these programs, meteorologists that work with this to help NOAA spit out, these computers spit out these long-range forecasts for you, the end user. And they are all across the world, from the United States all the way over to the far corners of Asia. So just here's a little map to show you where they are. Here's your GPCs, which are marked by these little red stars. There's one up here in Montreal. There's one, of course, in our capital in Washington. And as I said, here, all the way across the world. Some in Africa, you got a few in Europe, all the way over here in Tokyo and Seoul, South Korea, and in Melbourne, Australia, down here in the corner. So these are all across the world. You have these meteorologists making and working on collaborating for these long-term forecasts. Now, just one important thing to note is a little different for regional forecasts. These are actually called regional climate centers, which are also abbreviated RCCs. So those are important to note. Or regional climate outlook forms, or RCOFs, which are also used. And these all work together to make these forecasts on a smaller scale. So here's just one for the United States. As you see, these just have all these just little regions encompassed, as opposed to the entire world, or even the entire United States. So right here we have one up in Albany, one's just designated for the plains. Alaska and Hawaii each have their own one for the Pacific Northwest. There's one up here located in Washington. And all these things denoted, here are the RCCs, they're the ones that are a little more important, denoted by the blue squares. It's just located all across the U.S., and they each work on long-range forecasts, but just for their specific region within the United States. Now, these are very useful to private weather enterprises in the United States, such as AccuWeather and Weather Underground, who obviously is important to note is linked with the Weather Channel now. You know, they kind of, sometimes they downplay that a little bit. I mean, obviously the WUTV, but not everybody knows that Weather Underground is now associated with the Weather Channel. So here's just an example from the Weather Channel on a particular February to April long-term forecast. This was made 3 months prior to it, showing below average here for most of the eastern portion of the United States, above average here, and for Northern California and the Pacific Northwest is going to be above average for this past winter. Again, they just take the information from NOAA. You know, they take it and they make it, you know, sexy. You know, they make it better looking for us, for you guys, for the end user. You know, make it attractive. You know, these little isopleths right here. You know, isoplething is, you know, just basically drawing the lines of, you know, appropriate, you know, areas where it's going to end. So it's just an isopleth right here, where all this blue, get a little bit of the yellow up here, and then over to the west. So they take this information, make it sexy for you guys, and, you know, try to help you, you know, better plan your day, you know, or plan your future. And again, it could be from 1 month to usually 90 days. 3 months is the most appropriate, is what you see. Usually see a 90-day, 3-month outlook is the most common for companies such as AccuWeather or the Weather Channel. And of course, it's just all, you know, to make money in the end. I mean, NOAA wants it to be useful for you, the end user. You know, they wouldn't have these 90-day and further outlooks if they didn't think they were completely useless. If they thought they were completely useless, they would not send them out or make them available for these companies to make sexy for you as the end user. But again, money, cash, dough, Benjamins, you know, it makes them happy, so hopefully these long-range forecasts make you guys happy, and they can be as successful as we as meteorologists would want them to be. And now here's a few references if you guys just want to look up a little bit more information or look more into these forecasts. Here's NOAA's website for these long-range outlooks, and here is the www.wmo.int, and you can read the rest there. That just gives you a little bit more information on the long-range forecasts, just a little bit of a story, how they occur, just a little bit more detail in writing as opposed to the actual maps. So those are going to be sent to you in an email. Thanks for sticking around all the way to the end with me. I appreciate you listening and watching me. So thanks again, and I'm student meteorologist Anthony Chiavaroli.